Part 3 of the presentation covers how to use data in the Program Review Report and ends with a look at how to access data and services to support you in the program review process. Having examined data collection, interpretation, and use in program review from a more conceptual and topical perspective, we now turn to data sources, from program to institutional to primary, and data applications in a program review report. Here, we will provide examples and illustrate what data look like in tables and item reports, and how you can use data in your own program review report. We will move from one area to the next as we discuss sources and applications of data, first for instructional programs, and next for support services units and business services units. Program data for instructional programs includes a range of data. Institutional data for instructional programs include enrollment data, including FTES, achievement data, including course retention rates, course success rates, and program awards, and data on instructional efficiency, including WISH, FTIE, and WISH per FTIE. In addition, survey data may be used to collect information and opinion on student satisfaction, student engagement, student achievement, and instructional effectiveness. We begin with program data for instructional programs. As we have seen, program data is locally collected and recorded, used to support your program's mission, and generally not reported or submitted to MIS. Examples of program data for instructional programs may include, but certainly are not limited to, unique program characteristics and program resources. What you see here is an example of a program review report that comes from the woodworking department. As you see, locally collected data, such as the number of faculty and support staff, their employment status, their background characteristics, and their main duties in the department were used to describe program resources. In addition to program data, instructional programs have a standard set of institutional data available to them in two formats. Ready-to-go data, which have been analyzed and are ready to use and distributed by program, division, and college. These data include student success, student retention, program awards, FTES, FTIE, WISH, WISH per FTIE, and course sections. Raw data, which are data that have been stored in MIS or the data warehouse, and which need an analytical process for use. Raw data are used when programs request analyses from the Office of Research and Planning beyond the standard set produced as ready-to-go data. We first present ready-to-go institutional data for instructional programs, which again is a standard set of data produced by the Office of Research and Planning and available on its website. What you see here is a table that displays 5-year trends in student course retention rates at the college and division levels. It shows, at the college level and at each division level, how many students attempted courses, how many were retained in those courses, what the retention rates are, and what 1-year and 5-year changes in the retention rates are. You see here the same information with respect to course retention rates, but now at the program level aggregated to the division level. This table shows 5-year trends in successful course completion rates at both the college and division levels. Like course retention rates, you see here data on successful course completion rates at the program level aggregated to the division level. What you see in this table is 5-year trends in program awards at the college, division, and program levels. The table displays the number of students who obtained an associate degree and/or certificate in each academic year, and also contains 1-year and 5-year changes in the degree and certificate awardees. To use ready-to-go institutional data in your program review, you may extract data that correspond to your program and display them in a table or narrative format, as we see in this earth science example. To demonstrate 5-year trends in the number of degree awardees in the earth science department, the program extracted data from the program degree and certificate award table that we just saw in the last slide, and provided narratives explaining and contextualizing the data. In addition to course retention and success rates, and program awards, there are other institutional data that you may use for your program review, such as FTES, FTIE, Wish, Wish per FTIE, and course sections. You are now seeing an example of where FTES data could be used in a program review report. You may also use instructional efficiency data, like Wish or FTIE, for your program review report, as shown in this slide. We now turn to raw institutional data for instructional programs. Here, we present an example of how programs can conceptualize and request raw institutional data, and how the Office of Research and Planning logistically and analytically fulfills such requests. What you see here is an MIS data file in an SPSS data view format. Using these data, we would perform statistical analyses to produce results that you request for your program review report. In this example, a cross-tabulation analysis was conducted to examine how students are distributed across different age groups within each BL course. And what you are seeing is the SPSS output of the analysis. Then, the SPSS output is exported to Excel or Word for your use in program review. This slide shows an example of SPSS output exported to Excel. Frequently, though, we must convert SPSS output files into tables that aggregate results, and this process is more time and resource intensive. Now that we have defined and illustrated both program and institutional data for academic departments, we will focus on one type of primary data, survey data, for instructional programs. Programs typically use surveys to describe trends in student characteristics in the program. For example, trends in demographics, enrollment status, educational background, and education or career goals. Programs also use survey data to assess instructional effectiveness. For example, programs may want to examine how the program meets student educational needs, how delivery systems and modes of instruction are effective, how the curriculum is appropriate to meet student needs, how the program assesses student learning or achievement, and finally, how students are satisfied with the program. Programs also use surveys to suggest areas of improvement. For example, programs may want to identify students' future educational needs, identify sources of student dissatisfaction with the program, and understand students' general perceptions of the program. And finally, programs typically use surveys to identify areas of excellence in the program. This is an example of a student survey developed for instructional program review. Generally, you may want to start with questions regarding student characteristics and move to questions regarding instructional effectiveness and areas for improvement. Once you finish collecting data from a survey, you can produce an item report by conducting or requesting from the Office of Research and Planning a frequency analysis of the data. What you are seeing is the item report for the WMT department. As you see, the report displays percentage of student respondents who answered each response category within individual survey items. More specifically, the percentages were calculated in 3 different types of student samples: total student respondents, in-class survey respondents, and mail-in survey respondents. The results from item reports can be used in multiple parts of the Instructional Program Review report. In this sample you are seeing, the WMT department utilized a percentage for total respondents to describe trends in career preparation of their students. Here, we give you suggestions on where in the Program Review report you can use the 3 types of data: program data, institutional data, and primary data. We refer to the current program review format for instructional programs and present this matrix by report section and type of data. We will remain on this slide for a moment so that you can take a closer look at our suggestions. Now that we have addressed data sources and applications for instructional programs, we turn to support services units to get a sense of how they can use and apply data within the context of program review. Here, we will provide examples and illustrate what data look like in tables and item reports, and how you can use data in your program review report. Program data for support services programs includes a range of data that program or units collect. Institutional data for support services units include program participant demographics, program services, and program efficiency. In addition, survey data may be used to collect information and opinion on student or client satisfaction, program effectiveness, and program goals. We begin with program data for support services programs. As we have seen, program data are locally collected or recorded, used to support your program's mission, and generally not reported or submitted to MIS. Examples of program data for support services units include student or client demographics, services provided to students or clients, and resources provided to students or clients. What you are seeing here is a part of the CalWORKS Program Review Report. As you see, they use locally recorded data, or program data, such as the number of students who utilize childcare and work-study placement services, and costs spent on those services, all in an effort to describe the program's characteristics. The primary source of raw data for support services units is MIS. Here, we briefly look at raw data for support services units. As you recall, raw data are data that have been stored in MIS or the data warehouse, and which need an analytical process for use. Raw data are used when programs request analyses from the Office of Research and Planning. For support services units, these data can be matched with student demographic data and are available for the following programs: CalWORKS, DSPS, EOPS, financial aid, and matriculation. Now that we have defined and illustrated both program and institutional data for support services units, we will focus on one type of primary data: survey data. Programs typically use surveys to describe trends in student or client characteristics in the program. For example, trends like demographics, program status, educational background, and education or career goals. Programs may also use surveys to assess program effectiveness. For example, programs may want to examine how the program meets student or client needs, how program components and delivery are effective, how the program components and activities are appropriate to the needs of students or clients, how the program assesses outcomes or objectives, and how students or clients are satisfied with services. Programs may also use surveys to suggest areas of improvement. For example, programs may want to identify students' or clients' future needs, identify sources of student or client dissatisfaction, and understand students' or clients' general perceptions of the program. And finally, programs may want to use surveys to identify areas of excellence in the program or unit. This is an example of a program review survey for support services units. Similar to instructional program review surveys, you may want to include questions regarding student or client characteristics, program effectiveness, and areas for program improvement. What you are seeing here is the item report of the CalWORKS Program Review Survey. As you see, the CalWORKS program used the item report results in a narrative format to complete a part of the program review report. Here, we give you suggestions on where in the program review report you could use the three types of data: program data, institutional data, and primary data. We refer to the current program review format for support services programs and present this matrix by report section and type of data. We will remain on this slide for a moment so that you can take a closer look at our suggestions. Now that we have addressed data sources and applications for both instructional and support services programs, we turn to how business services units can use and apply data within the context of program review. Here, we will provide examples and illustrate what data look like in tables and item reports, and how you can use data in your program review report. Program data for business services units includes a range of data that units collect. In addition, survey data may be used to collect information and opinion on client satisfaction, unit effectiveness, and unit goals. We begin with program data for business services units. As we have seen previously, program data are locally collected and recorded, used to support your program's mission, and generally not reported or submitted to MIS. Examples of program data for business services units include client demographics, services provided to clients, and resources provided to clients. What you are seeing here is a part of the IT department's program review report. In the report, they use several types of program data, such as locally collected statistics, internal documents, and archival data, to describe unit characteristics as well as services that they provide to clients. Now that we have defined and illustrated both program and institutional data for business services units, we will focus on one type of primary data, survey data. In the case of business services units, where institutional data are generally not available, surveys become a very effective way to gather a wide range of data. Accordingly, business services units could use surveys to describe trends in student or client characteristics in the units. For example, trends in demographics. Demographics that units may want to examine through use of a survey include demographics of clients and trends in services offered to clients. In addition, units may use surveys to assess unit effectiveness. For example, units may want to examine how the unit meets the varied needs of clients, how the unit components and delivery are effective, how the unit components and activities are appropriate to the current needs of clients, how the unit assesses objectives, and finally, how clients are satisfied with the service provided by units. Units may also use surveys to suggest areas of improvement. For example, units may want to identify clients' future needs, identify what and why clients are dissatisfied with services, and understand clients' general perceptions of services provided by the unit. And finally, units could use surveys to identify areas of excellence in the unit. This slide shows a part of the IT department's program review report. Here, you can see in the first statement of the outcome section that they used their survey results referring to Appendix A for details in order to demonstrate the level of client satisfaction with their services. What you see here is a part of an appendix of the IT department's program review report, which was cited in the body of the report as we saw in the previous slide. Here, the appendix displays survey results using bar graphs and numbers. In this example, survey results are displayed in a table format. Here, we give you suggestions on where in the program review report you can use the three types of data: program data, institutional data, where they exist, and finally, primary data. We refer to a more generalized program review format for business services, and present this matrix by report section and type of data. We will remain on this slide for a moment so that you can take a closer look at our suggestions. So, after all of this information, you may be wondering how you can access data and services for your program review. For information on data and services from the Office of Research and Planning, please visit our website. In addition, we encourage you to visit the Chancellor's Office Data Mart, where you will find an online data query tool that allows end users to examine data at multiple levels: program, college, district, and state. If you view the site and access data, please be aware that data from the site may differ from data derived locally, due to differences in master data files and formulas used to derive the figures. This is the homepage of the website of the Office of Research and Planning. On the left-hand navigation bar, there are 3 links for program review resources. That is, there is a link for program review resources for instructional programs, for support services, and for business services. Here, you see the web page for instructional program review resources. On this page, you can access information on services and data that the Office of Research and Planning provides for the support of instructional program review, most of which has been referred to in the preceding slides in this presentation. What you see here is the web page for Support Services Program Review resources. This page explains services provided by the Office of Research and Planning for the support of Support Services Program Review. Finally, this is the web page for Business Services Program Review resources. and the site contains information on services provided by the Office of Research and Planning for the support of Business Services Program Review. The following services are available to support your data and analytical needs in the program review process. In terms of institutional data, the Office of Research and Planning provides ready-to-go and raw data, analysis of data, and presentation and interpretation of data and results. With respect to primary data, the Office of Research and Planning supports you with assistance in survey instrument design and item construction, analysis of survey data, presentation of survey data, and finally, interpretation of survey data. For more information about data and services to support you in the program review process, please visit our website. We thank you for your interest in this presentation. We are pleased that you have viewed and listened to this podcast. We hope that we have facilitated a greater understanding of data collection, interpretation, and utilization in the program review process and your roles within the context of program review. For now, we leave you with our best wishes as you conduct your own program review.